Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Delusion Media live stream. I believe it is our first one that we've ever done. And I'm super excited that you're here, and I'm excited to talk about everything I have to talk to you about today. So, we're going live this week specifically to celebrate the launch of my brand new course, Catalyst Academy. Grow a thriving YouTube channel in as little as 5 hours per week. I'm super excited about this course. It is jam-packed full of like a full college level course worth of stuff to learn so that we can collapse time for you so that you can get from overwhelmed, feeling a little bit like you don't know what you're doing, feeling like you're scared to turn on the camera and hit record, feeling like, what niche am I supposed to do? Who am I to open my mouth and talk about what I want to talk about? What do I know? We're going to get you from there and all of the objections you might have to why you shouldn't or you're not allowed to start a YouTube channel. And we're going to get you to thriving on YouTube and growing on YouTube. So creating amazing video content. So I'm not going to just show you how to make content. I'll show you that. We're going to talk about editing, etc. But I'm also going to show you how to make great content, which will help you grow. And so today we're talking all about saving time while making YouTube videos, because that's a huge objection that a lot of people have is, I don't have the time for this. You do, most likely. A lot of people are busy, but if this is really a dream that you have and it's something that's been kind of gnawing at the back of your head, that's, I know, was my experience, and you really think it could be really cool, I think you can make it happen. And I want to teach you how, and I want to hold your hand through it. So let's talk about how to make videos faster. And one thing that I think is important in the video creation process is knowing how to make good videos faster, right? Because we're not trying to just put out crap more quickly. We're trying to make good content more quickly. And so my course and this framework that I've developed, which I'm going to show you today, helps you not only make videos more quickly, like literally producing them more efficiently, but also make them well, so that as you're producing them, you're also growing more quickly, hopefully, because you're putting out content that your people actually want to watch. So it's a two-part battle. Part one, yes, you want to be able to have efficient systems so that you're just churning out content. But part two is that you know the kind of content that you want to be making that is actually going to be watchable, that people are actually going to want to see, click on subscribe, etc. So let's go over this framework that I've developed, because this is the framework that I'm teaching, because it's a pattern that I've seen every successful YouTuber do to be successful. And so if I teach you that, you will also be successful, is my goal. And by learning these things, you're collapsing time for yourself, because it took me 3 years of trial and error to learn this stuff, and I want to save you that time. So let's go over the framework here. I have this handy dandy little, what do we call this? Graph chart thing. I have the word influence at the center, just because that is, at the end of the day, kind of what we're doing here on YouTube. We're growing our influence, not necessarily to sell things. I don't mean this in the traditional sense of an influencer. I just mean that by using what I'm going to teach you in these tactics, you're growing in your ability to get followers, in your thought leadership, in people wanting to listen to what you have to say, because otherwise, why are we making videos, you know? So influence is at the center. And here, there are 3 main prongs that fill in each of these circles. First, authenticity. Authenticity. You want to make sure you're showing up authentically on your channel. We'll talk about how to do that. Second is story. You want to make sure you're telling great stories. Okay? You want to tell good stories. You want to share your own personal story. That's part of the way that you do well on YouTube, because it is a storytelling platform in the end. And then third, strategy. Okay, you can learn how to show up authentically as yourself and put your best foot forward. You can learn how to tell great stories, but you got to put it all together in an executable strategy. Okay, so authenticity, story, strategy. This is the framework, or as I like to call it, the ASS framework. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so each one of these, authenticity, story, and strategy, there are 3 prongs to get you there. So let's talk about how you actually implement showing up authentically, telling great stories, and putting it all together in a good strategy. Okay, first, you got to put your best foot forward. And what I mean by that is you got to know who you are and how you want to communicate that. First of all, picking a niche. That can be really difficult. That in itself is a whole separate video. And in fact, in my course, I have multiple videos on it. Pick a niche, know what you want to actually talk about, and make sure that the niche that you pick is something that you're really passionate about. Have a really strong why behind why you want to talk about that niche. And that's going to be a driving force where you're going to show up more authentically because you are passionate about the niche that you've chosen. Okay. You also want to get your branding in order as part of putting your best foot forward. So make sure that your profile picture, your YouTube banner, it all matches. You have a color scheme, fonts. Take the time to think about your branding, to pick a name that represents you, whether that's your own name or creating a brand name of some sort. And then finally, it's very important that you find your voice as part of putting your best foot forward. And what I mean by that is you need to know what your point of view is. What is your unique point of view in your niche? There's a lot of people probably already making the content that you want to make. And that's another common objection that people have is like, well, it's already oversaturated. Okay, but not by you. You haven't started making content yet, and you have a unique point of view. So you need to figure out what that is and what you're bringing to the table and what sets you apart. Okay? What is your unique value proposition? What are you bringing to the table that no one else is? And then final piece of the puzzle of putting your best foot forward is actually showing up on camera comfortably. And that just takes, sorry to say it, practice and time. You have to just give it the time, getting in front of a camera, turning on the camera, and just actually trying. You have to actually try. Eventually, you will get more comfortable. I promise you. And I believe I will be covering that on a separate video this week, how to get more comfortable on camera. So put your best foot forward. You also need to get your gear right. And what I mean by that is you have to learn how to use your gear. What kind of gear do you need? Do you have an iPhone and a window? Great. That's enough. Maybe invest in like a little lapel mic that just clips here that you can plug right into your phone so that the sound's a little bit better. That's all you need. Part of getting your gear right is just learning how to use what you already have, because that's another thing that people get hung up on is like, well, I need the best type of best quality possible gear. You don't. There's a lot of videos with millions of views that are very low quality. As long as you're showing up and providing value, people will appreciate your videos and people will watch your videos. And then as you grow, you can upgrade. Or if you are a techie and you want to learn more, you can upgrade. But you got to start with what you got. And you got to learn the basics of editing. Again, how do you do that? Well, there's a million tutorials out there. I will have tutorials in this new course that I'm offering, but you also just have to get started. This is like 101. You just got to get started on YouTube. You just have to start creating content and you will learn along the way. Okay. So as you edit more, you will get better. And that's just the way it is. Okay. So you're putting your best foot forward. You're showing up as yourself. You're getting your gear right so that you're literally showing up well curated, well edited. You're showing up as yourself. You're actually putting videos out there. And then you need to identify your people. Okay. What I mean by this is you need to know who you're speaking to. You can show up authentically as yourself, but you also need to make sure that the content that you are making is actually meeting your people where they're at. Okay. Part of doing that includes market research. Research your niche. What are other people doing? What do people seem to like? Who is your viewer? Who's your viewer avatar? What's their age? What's their gender? Where do they live? What are their objections and pain points? How are you going to help them? Because it's one thing to show up authentically, but if you're showing up authentically in a way that's not serving other people, you're probably not going to do great on YouTube. Like people do well on YouTube who show up as themselves with the final goal of serving others. And being funny or providing entertainment, that's service. That's a service to others. But you want to think about who your people are and how you want to serve them. That's a piece of showing up authentically. Learning story. Learning to tell a great story. First of all, you have to learn the arc. You have to learn about story arcs, storytelling fundamentals. What are the elements of a good story? What is a great story arc that's going to tell your story effectively? And this applies no matter what your niche is. Even if you're like, I just want to do DIY house fixing tutorials. Great. You can just lay that out in like a step 1, step 2, step 3. But the way to be memorable on YouTube, the way to get people to buy in to what you have to say is by telling like captivating stories. So don't just say, here's how to fix a screen door, step 1, step 2, step 3. Say, my screen door broke. Here's how I feel about that. Here's how it happened. Here's me going to the store to pick up the materials. My check engine light came on. It was a disaster. It was a bad day. Now I'm going to fix this. Here's how you do it. Then people are going to think of you when they think about, okay, I need this DIY project. Oh, that's right. I watched that really great creator that one time. I bet they have something on this. They'll subscribe. They'll come back for more. Otherwise, if you give them just a cut and dry 1, 2, 3, they'll watch just that portion to get that information and then never watch you again. And that's still helpful. That's still a helpful video. But we're talking about growing a following, growing a thriving channel. And part of that is learning what makes a good story. All right. Another way to tell a good story on YouTube, it's a visual media, okay? So you want to make sure you're being very visual in your videos, and that includes showing, not just telling. It is amazing how powerful it is when you start focusing on, in your videos, showing people what you're talking about instead of just telling. What I mean by that is literally what I'm doing right now. I have this grid for you. I could just be me, my big head, just talking. And that would be a hell of a lot less dynamic. It also would probably be a little bit harder to follow. But also throughout your video, using B-roll, images, text, etc., to show instead of just tell, especially if you're just doing talking head videos, makes a much more dynamic story. So really focusing in on how can I show what I'm saying? Oh, I want to make a vlog about how I went to Italy, or like my top 5 favorite places in Italy. Instead of me just starting the video by saying, hey guys, here are my top 5 favorite things about Italy with just my face, I could say, hey guys, here are my top 5 favorite things about Italy. And while I'm saying that, show footage of me in Italy, show some teaser about what's to come in the video. Anything to like visually captivate the audience is going to make your story much stronger. And then you need to grab their attention. So not only do you need to tell a good story and show instead of just tell, but you need to grab their attention through a hook right at the beginning, some sort of line, some image, some statement, something that's going to reel them in. But you also need to think about titles and thumbnails. The thumbnail is the little image that pops up for your video before someone clicks on it, before it plays. And the title is obviously the title of the video. I often see new YouTubers make this mistake where they don't think about their title. They'll name it something really generic or some like really long title. And what you really want to do with your title and thumbnail is intrigue potential viewers so that they actually click on it. So part of telling a good story is making sure people are actually listening to your story and captivated by your story. And step 1 of that is creating really great titles and thumbnails to reel someone in, and then a hook right at the beginning to engage them so that they stick around. All right. So you can do all this. You can get your shit together so you show up authentically and you're putting your best self forward. You can learn how to tell a captivating story visually on YouTube through video. But none of that matters if you don't have a strategy to implement it. Okay. So step 1, keep it consistent. We've all heard this one. What I mean by this, you got to pick a schedule that you can actually stick to. People love to think that the more content you make, the more successful you'll be. And that's just not the case. If you are strapped so thin for time that you are making shit videos every week or twice a week because you think that the more videos you make, the more followers you get, that's just not the case. If you need to post a video every other week or even just once a month for it to be high quality, do that, because we don't want you burning out on this. This is supposed to be a fun thing, a fun project. The last thing you want to do is burn out. So pick a posting schedule that is consistent, but that you can actually stick to. Once a week is kind of the gold standard, but if that's not possible, that's okay. You can still grow on YouTube if you're posting every other week or once a month. It's not the end of the world, okay? Especially at the beginning. You can try out different posting schedules and see what works for you. That's the joy of being at the beginning, is you can make mistakes and try things and fail, and no one's really watching you yet, and that's okay. But eventually you'll want to stick to a consistent schedule that allows you to post consistently and show up consistently. Okay. So part of that too is repurposing your content. So using the video that you've already made for YouTube and turning it into other content. Take the audio and make it into a podcast. Take little segments of the video and release them as shorts or reels. There's a lot of really great tools out there that can help you do that. One is called repurpose.io, or getmunch.com. If you put in your video into either of those services, the AI will cut little segments from it that you can then turn into short videos that you can post on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. Repurposing your content, especially if you can only post 1, maybe 2 great videos per month, that's your max capacity. If you're able to repurpose those 2 videos into more content across your other platforms, then you're staying consistent while making fewer videos. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with every new piece of content. Your next strategy, listen to your people. And what I mean by that is learn the algorithm. Learn how to appeal to the algorithm. And I'll tell you this fun fact, the algorithm's only job, the one thing that it's concerned about, is keeping people watching on YouTube for as long as possible. So the more you can engage your viewers with great video through good story and authenticity, the longer they'll stay. Okay. Secondly, in order to supercharge this, you have to be looking at your data on the back end. So what's your click-through rate? How many people are when they see your video title and thumbnail, how many people are actually clicking on it? How long are people watching? This is all data you can get in the back end on your analytics on YouTube. And you want to pay attention to that, because that's actually going to tell you what your people want and what's working and what's not working. And it's really important to put the video out there and then move on and put out another one. But you got to go back eventually and look at the data to see how your video is doing. Because if you're just putting video after video out without kind of analyzing how they're working, you might be in a holding pattern without even realizing that there's like one tweak you could make that would really up the quality or the viewership of your videos. So paying attention to the data is huge when it comes to continuing to grow on YouTube. Finally, in the strategy section, you got to think about converting your viewers. And what I mean by that is converting them from passive viewers to raving fans. And how do you do that? By creating as many positive touch points with your viewers as possible. You do that in part by creating great video content, but you also do that by replying to comments genuinely, saying hi to people as they comment, acknowledging the people who are regularly commenting. You can also involve your community by posting polls on your YouTube channel or on your Instagram, asking people, what do you want to see next? Or who are you? Where are you from? Asking questions to your audience so that you can get more data on your audience, which is great, especially when you want to try to listen to your people or identify your people, which are also 2 prongs on this. But it's also just a great way to connect with people and make them feel connected to you. And the more connection you can make with your people, the stronger the fandom will be, and the more they'll be your raving fan. And why do you want raving fans? Because the more raving fans you have, the stronger your longevity. They're going to advocate for your channel. They're going to advocate for you. And you can do anything or go anywhere. You can launch a course. You can launch a Patreon. You can launch a merch line. You can create a second channel where you're doing other things. And those raving fans will follow you wherever you go, because you've gained their trust through showing up authentically, telling good stories, and connecting with them in a truly authentic way. And I know the word authentic and authenticity is really overused, but I mean it in a genuine way. Show up genuinely, trying to connect to your people by providing them with a great story, with great content, and they will convert to raving fans. So again, this is not like, okay, today implement all of this and now you're going to be a huge YouTuber and you're going to have all these raving fans. However, this process, all of these things, taking all these steps is important to get more viewers on your videos, to get more subscribers, to grow more efficiently, because the sooner you can learn how to tell a great story on YouTube, the more people are going to be engaged with your video, the more followers you're going to get, the more you're going to grow a thriving YouTube channel. And I want to teach you how to grow a thriving YouTube channel, not just make content. So those are a few things to think about as you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And I see your comments. I'm going to address those at the end. Let's talk about some like tangible things you could do right now that can really supercharge what you're making on YouTube, supercharge your content, make it go faster, make more content faster. Okay. So you want to focus on creating systems that are efficient to cut down on the actual time you spend creating content. And one thing that people never really think about when it comes to creating great systems that I think makes all the difference in the world is pre-planning your videos. Pre-planning means take time before you hit record so that you really know what your video is going to look and sound like and what your video is going to accomplish. And it's frankly a little bit counterintuitive because it means often taking more time at the beginning of your process before you ever even start filming to pre-plan, which feels like you're wasting time. But in fact, it's the opposite. The more you know what you want to accomplish before you even begin filming, the faster the filming and editing process and everything else will go on the back end. And the more effective your video is going to be because you actually thought through, like, what is my goal with this video? Who am I trying to reach? What am I trying to say? And the first step in pre-planning is pre-planning your pipeline. You need to have great ideas and you need to lay them out. And I want to talk today a little bit about how to come up with some great ideas. So you could just sit down and say to yourself, all right, what video am I going to make this week? And just do that every week. And then pick like the first or second idea that comes to you. And that's fine. But if you're trying to supercharge your process, save some time, why not do this in bulk? Set aside an hour or two and write out every video idea that comes to your head, all of them. Get a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet. You can categorize them if, say, you have a niche, but then there are like different topics within your niche that you commonly talk about. Or maybe you just have 3 different kind of niche areas that you talk about on your channel. You can make like 3 categories and then write every idea you have for each one of those categories. Try to get as many out as you possibly can. Even the dumb ones, write them down anyway, get them out, and shoot for like 100 ideas. Shoot for just getting 100 ideas out. Okay. And if you need help with ideas, you can supercharge this process even faster, the brainstorming process, by using AI, well, ChatGPT. Okay. I would be remiss when trying to teach you how to make videos more quickly if I don't bring up ChatGPT, because AI is revolutionizing how content creators are creating their content, but I think it's for the best. I think it's not replacing content creators, though there are many AI tools out there that can make videos for you and even create like an avatar AI person. They're not there yet. Like, they're not convincing, but they exist. I still don't think they're going to replace, like, again, authentic content creators, because so much of this is showing up as yourself, creating genuine connection with your viewers and telling great stories. And computers just can't do that. Maybe they will be able to at some point, but right now they can't. However, ChatGPT and AI can be very helpful tools for supercharging and streamlining your process. I already mentioned repurpose.io and getmunch.com. There's more out there that will help you repurpose your content across multiple platforms. Getmunch.com is something I just found like last week and I love it. So there are so many options out there. There's a website called futurepedia.com, and it's just a running list of AI tools as they're being developed. So if you're really nerdy into the AI like I am, you can go to Futurepedia and just see the list and start experimenting. But I wanted to give you a couple of like tangible prompts that you can use today to start coming up with really great, like surprisingly great YouTube video ideas. Okay. Here are a couple prompts you can use. Please provide me with 10 unique and engaging YouTube video ideas focused on whatever your niche is, that have the potential to become highly popular and go viral. See what it tells you. And you can get even more specific than that. You can say, please provide me with 10 unique and engaging YouTube video ideas focused on, enter your niche, that will appeal to, and then enter your ideal client or customer or audience. If you're building a YouTube channel to sell things, your ideal customer, or if you're building a YouTube channel to get a following, your ideal audience member, viewer, and have the potential to become highly popular and go viral. And I wanted to actually show you what happens when you do this. So I did this, and I used the example of knitting. Please provide me 10 unique and engaging YouTube video ideas focused on knitting that have the potential to become highly popular and go viral. So you want to start a knitting channel. Knitting around the world, exploring unique techniques and traditions. Dive into the diverse world of knitting, showcasing different techniques. Extreme knitting challenge, 24 hours to create a masterpiece. Take on a 24-hour knitting challenge where you attempt to create an impressive and intricate piece within a day. Knitting with unconventional materials, the art of thinking outside of the box. Use materials like wire, plastic bags, or even old t-shirts. Celebrity knit off, famous faces battle in a knitting competition. You have to invite celebrities. I don't know how doable that would be, but it's a fun idea. Yarn bombing the city, a colorful knitted art installation. Large-scale yarn bombing project, film it. Recreating iconic fashion moments with knitting. Yeah, like imagine if you tried to recreate that green J.Lo dress from like the early 2000s, but knitting. People would watch that. Knit and chat, real life stories shared over the clicking of needles. Host a series of interviews with interesting people while knitting together. That's a really interesting concept to take an interview show and elevate it to a higher concept idea. The science of knitting, knitting for a cause, teaching a robot to knit. I wouldn't use these as titles. These aren't good video titles, but what you can do is you can take this and you can say, great, I love this idea. Make me an outline for that. Give me 10 YouTube video title ideas for this concept. Like you can really go, it's not great. I have found it's not great at writing a verbatim script because it's just not going to capture who you are, even if you try to teach it how to. At least for me, I've never been able to, but it's a great resource for ideas, outlining, coming up with title ideas. Okay. So this was for just the basic, give me 10 unique, engaging ideas focused on knitting. However, you can, when you get more specific, the ideas, I think, get even more impressive. So I said, please provide me with 10 unique and engaging YouTube video ideas focused on knitting that will appeal to people in the LGBTQ community aged 18 to 31 and that have the potential to become highly popular and go viral. Now we're getting specific. And the more specific people you can appeal to, when you get really specific about who your viewer is, I think the stronger your content is. Because if you appeal to everyone, then you appeal to no one. That's the saying. So trying really hard to appeal to your specific audience can be really powerful. And I love these ideas. Some of them are better than others, but honestly, overall, I was impressed. Rainbow Knits, celebrating pride with colorful creations. Create a series of knitting projects inspired by the colors of the flag. Queer knitting icons, trailblazers in the crafting world. Highlight influential LGBTQ figures within the knitting community. Knitting for inclusivity, gender-neutral clothing and accessories. Queer crafting circles, connecting through the art of knitting. Host virtual or in-person knitting meetups specifically for LGBTQ folks, fostering connections, friendships, etc. Transgender-focused knitting, binding alternatives and empowering apparel. Knit the Runway, a queer fashion show extravaganza. Knit Your Pride, DIY LGBTQ-themed accessories. Coming out stories, sharing personal journeys while knitting. Drag queens and knitting needles, crafting with fabulous performers. And queer history and stitches, knitting to tell LGBTQ stories. Like, now that's interesting. Now those are some interesting ideas that, frankly, I would have never come up with just of my own volition. You know what I mean? So if you sit down and come up with ideas, put them, just make a whole list, but then also utilize AI and the other tools that you have available to you to like really make it interesting and to really push yourself into more idea territory. I will say the answers that I just showed you from ChatGPT, that was ChatGPT 4. So that's the most recent iteration of ChatGPT that's available publicly, at least. And I find ChatGPT 4 to be so far and above better than ChatGPT 3.5. I pay the monthly subscription for ChatGPT because I find ChatGPT 4 to be that much better, that I was like, I want access to this at all times. So that's the caveat there. Those answers were from ChatGPT 4. I don't think 3.5 would give you as good. So this is like a constantly evolving thing right now, which is why I find it so interesting and exciting. But there are so many possibilities with AI to help you supercharge and really streamline your entire video creation process. So, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think that's doable? So you sit down and you write out all 100 ideas. And then you read through those ideas and pick the ones that you like, the ones that aren't complete shit. Okay. And then from your not complete shit list, pick 12 ideas that you think your audience or ideal viewer or ideal customer, if you're using YouTube to promote your business, would find interesting and helpful, intriguing and helpful. Then pull out your calendar or whatever you use to plan out your life and plot out on one idea per week for the next quarter of those 12 ideas that you pulled out. Put your most favorite ideas first. I have this tendency, and I know a lot of other people do, to think that you need to spread out your best ideas across a longer period of time and like put in some less good ideas in between. I promise you, you won't run out of good ideas. Use your best ones first, and new best ones will come to you later the more you do this. And now, after you've done this, you've picked out 12, you have 12 weeks, you have a full quarter of content planned. So each week, instead of sitting down to a blank piece of paper, you have your ideas for the next quarter already set. And then you can create even more efficiently by batch planning and batch filming your videos. You can sit down for a couple hours, plan out your next 4 videos, and then film all 4 at once. And that saves you even more time in the setup and takedown of the equipment, getting pretty for the camera. You only got to do that once. You know, if you're worried about it, change your shirt in between filming. I promise you, no one really notices. I have gone stretches where I wear the same exact shirt in every single video and no one notices. But this way you can really supercharge the speed and the rate at which you're able to put out content. So yeah, interesting stuff. I love this new AI development, and I cover a lot of AI and use cases for AI in my new course, Catalyst Academy. We delve way deeper into systems you can set up for creating content more quickly. And I do want to tell you, we get even deeper into this whole framework that I showed you. Like, this is the framework for Catalyst Academy. We go deep into each of these. And then we have a 10th module where I kind of show you the back end of my setup. So I give you a studio tour. I tell you what my week to week actually looks like creating YouTube content. So you can see what this all looks like when it comes together into a full established YouTube channel. And I'm doing a giveaway right now. The link is in the description down below. You can download my free Get Started checklist. It gives you a guide for everything you need to think about and do to get started on YouTube. So you just get started already. That's why I call it the Get Started checklist. Just get started already. Here, I'll hold your hand. Here's a checklist. You can download that for free and you'll automatically be entered to win free access for life to Catalyst Academy. I'm giving that to 2 lucky winners. To celebrate the pre-launch. The course itself launches June 1st. So this is the pre-launch sale. This is the lowest the price is ever going to be. Okay. Because I'm excited. I want to get it out there. I want to get people in experiencing the course. So if you purchase it now or purchase it this week before Friday at midnight, then you will get access to the course on June 1st when it drops, and you will get immediate access to Catalyst Club, which is the membership program that comes with the course. So not only are you going to learn how to do all of this, you're also going to have other people in community with you who are doing the same thing, taking the same course and trying to grow their own following, which has great potential for collaborating, which is great for growing faster on YouTube. You can meet other creators and collaborate with them. I'll also be doing Q&A sessions where you can come and ask your questions live. And I'll also be hosting conversations with other YouTubers. And I'm planning on asking some nitty-gritty questions about, like, what kind of money are they making? What does your process look like? How do you come up with ideas? All sorts of the nitty-gritty stuff that I don't really see anyone else having conversations about. We're going to have those conversations in Catalyst Club, and you will have access to ask questions as those conversations go on. So the club is like half the value in this course because you get so much additional learning and additional opportunities in the club. So like I said, pre-sale happening now through Friday. You can enter to win the course for free. You have until Thursday at midnight to enter, and then I'll announce the winners on Friday. So get your hands on that now. That free Get Started guide, enter to win. And I'm super excited about this course. It really, like, it's everything I know how to do on YouTube packed into one course. And I know there's like kind of the stereotype of YouTubers creating courses, and that's not what this is. I mean, I am a YouTuber creating a course, so touche. But this is like, there's no bullshit or fluff in this course. It's just like, here's how I know to make good content and how to grow. And I have this 100,000 subscriber plaque to show for it. So let me show you how I did it. All right. So that's that. I want to know if anyone has any questions. Let me scroll through these comments. Okay. Wheelie Wannabe. I'd like to do a vlog on a motorcycle as I go through law school, but I don't know how to capitalize on those things. I mean, that's an interesting concept in and of itself. Would you be traveling the world? How would you be doing law school at the same time? Or is it just you love motorcycles? I think there's an intersection there. I think if you sit down and really think about like, how can I create a high concept from this intersection? I think that's there. And I think it'll set you apart because of course there's a lot of people making content about law school, but having that confluence of your interests, law school and motorcycles, that can be really powerful. Can I start a YouTube channel as a podcast first and then repurpose from there? I don't want to be talking head on camera. I'd rather have like a floating voice or an avatar. Okay, I see. So like having your voice and then having like B-roll. Oh, I can show these on the screen. Having your voice and then having like B-roll footage in the background. That's a very popular type of video. You don't have to show your face. Absolutely. I think 𝙂𝙀𝘼𝗧𝗍 is a great example of that. There's a lot of great examples of that. And it's honestly easier in some cases to do that. There is some AI. I would go to the 𝙂𝙀𝘼𝗍𝗍.com website. There is AI out there that helps you do this. And the AI will even do the voiceover for you if you want. But yeah, I think it's totally possible to not show your face on camera and to have a really successful channel still. It's a little harder to connect with people and to create that kind of cult following. But people do it. And I think through some really great niche research, like looking at how other people do it, I think you could do it. Let's see. Any advice for voiceovers and talking in general? Very stiff and rehearsed and deadbeat. Yes. Common issue. So first of all, you're not alone. Totally normal. Talking in general. So when I talk to the camera, I try to picture that I'm just talking to one person or like I'm just talking to a pal. And that really helps me. Like, how would I talk to my friend? I wouldn't sit like bolt upright with like unblinking, you know? How would I talk to a friend? And I think that comes with practice too. You just gotta, sometimes you can just hit record on your camera without any intention of actually using it, the footage or whatever you say, and just start chatting. Just start talking to yourself, talking to the camera as though it's your friend. And don't use the footage, but just get used to hitting record. Because if you don't get used to it, then the mere act of hitting record becomes this like huge built up tension. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit record. Okay, I have to be perfect the second I hit this button. Do not shoot for perfection. If you misspeak, take a beat. Say the line again. You know, the joy of the digital age is you can just delete stuff. You know what I mean? Let's see. Okay, when you record footage to clip in, do you record the whole, do you mean like when I react to videos and stuff? I just record the little, the clip that I'm going to react to. Let's see. Oh, crocheting. Okay. Listen, I'm glad that my example feels relevant. Yeah, I think there's a lot of like people think that YouTube's oversaturated. It's not. There's a lot of really creative ways that you can come at the topic or the subject matter that you want to talk about. Like, that's like saying, well, I guess I'm not going to write another book because there have been people writing books for 1,000 years, and I guess it's oversaturated at this point. Do it anyway. You'll find your space. Let's see. Is the course the same as the YouTube consult? No. So the course is Catalyst Academy. The YouTube consult is one-on-one. That's like if you want to hire me to have on retainer for the month and you are making your channel and you want to just talk to me and have me on email, have some video calls with me, and you want me giving you personalized advice. That's the YouTube consult. The Catalyst Academy course is the course. Are you looking at the Delusion Media website? I can also just put the link in the chat to the Catalyst Academy itself. It's also, if you look at the link in the description of this video, that giveaway, there's a link in there as well to the sales page of Catalyst Academy so you can learn more, but I just threw it in the comments as well. Okay. Apart from YouTube, what other top apps are best to be active on? Which ones synergize well? Here's the thing. It depends on who your audience is. Because if your audience is like older professionals, then LinkedIn and Facebook, but definitely not TikTok. But if your audience is like 18 to 24-year-olds, then definitely probably TikTok. And sometimes it's trial and error. Like you could post across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts or something if you're thinking short video, and just see which ones perform best and then focus on where they're performing best. And if your audience is like 28 to 40-year-olds, probably Instagram, you know? So it really depends on who your audience is. Some of the easiest repurposing you can do is like taking your video and just pulling the audio from it and releasing it as a podcast, or throwing out some tweets that kind of summarize your video, like a tweet thread that summarize what your video is about with a link to your video. And then you can screenshot those tweets and turn it into an Instagram carousel. So there are ways you can kind of like layer how you reuse things, but it really depends on who your audience is and where you think they are. But I would say really focusing on mastering YouTube first is often a good idea. Okay. How much do you censor yourself? Like, do you sometimes feel like an opinion is not worth sharing just because it's unpopular? Yes. So for me, my determining factor for like whether or not I share my opinions is it kind of comes down to that. Like, am I willing to get criticized for this? First of all, is this an unpopular opinion or is this like a problematic opinion? I don't share problematic opinions because I try not to hold problematic opinions. But if it's just unpopular, then it depends on like, how much do I believe in this? Like, is it important to me enough that I'm willing to put up with people being mad at me for an unpopular opinion? My rule of thumb is like, I'm not trying to be liked. I'm not trying to be likable. I'm trying to be myself because I know that that's going to more strongly attract my people to me. And it's going to more strongly repel the people that are not my people. And that's a great goal. That's another way to create raving fans. Repel the people that aren't your people, because in doing so, you're going to attract the people who are. Does the course go over editing and video construction? I've got my art and I've got voice recordings, but don't have any idea how to put those together. Yes, I have tutorials on 4 of kind of what I consider like the biggest and most, the ones that I recommend, 4 different editing software. iMovie and DaVinci Resolve are the 2 free ones. And then Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro are the paid ones. And I have a tutorial for all 4, like 1 for each, on the basics of like how to get your footage in there, how to start editing, some really basic editing tricks. So yeah, so we go over editing, and we go over like editing workflow, because again, that's part of the strategy of making content more quickly is like, how fast can we make it? Well, having a great system in place first is essential. And we go over that. Yes. What, you wouldn't just say, I'm not going to write a book, because there are, talk about oversaturated, millions and millions out there. Everyone's written a book, but you'd still write a book. Similarly on YouTube, like you just have to come up with an interesting concept, you know? come up with a higher concept. Don't just say, I want to make videos about knitting. Say, I want to make videos where I'm knitting with drag queens and we're talking about LGBTQ fashion history or something, you know? You're still doing the same thing. You can still teach people how to knit in that context, but it's so much more interesting and it's something that you've never seen anyone else doing without having to be like the best knitter on the planet. You don't have to be the best at anything to have a successful YouTube channel. I'm not the smartest lawyer out there. Hell, most of the shit I talk about is not revolutionary. Other people are also saying it. I'm just presenting it in my own way, in a way that I feel is more accessible to people who don't have legal backgrounds. And I don't need to be the smartest. I'm not claiming to be the smartest. In fact, if you are claiming to be the smartest at something, that's kind of probably bullshit and people aren't going to really like that. So showing up authentically as yourself, telling great stories with an interesting angle, that's what you need. You don't have to be the best. All right. I hope this has answered some of your questions. I hope you can tell how excited I am about this course. I really think, like, I'm very proud of the value that I'm going to be providing. I'm super excited for the Catalyst Club and being able to connect with people in there. Honestly, it's kind of selfishly that I created the club because I've been making content by myself for the last 3 years without many content creator friends, and I want to meet more people, and like, we can support each other, we can build each other up, we can give feedback, we can collaborate with each other. I'll provide you with all the knowledge that I can in there and have more conversations with other YouTubers. So I think it's going to be really fun. And yeah, we'll end with this question. Any tips for someone with a full-time job that drains energy? I'll start a day with a game plan, but by the time I get off work, there's no energy left to create with. Totally fair. I had like a very draining day job when I started on YouTube as well. I was working for a large law firm that I fucking hated. And it was really rough. It was really hard. Having a really strong why, like, why are you creating the content? What's your ethos? For me, it's, I'm really pissed off that the law is so inaccessible on my main channel. And so I want people to learn the law who don't have access to it and how this country works and how it doesn't work and how it's supposed to work. And that pisses me off. And I know that when I'm mad about something, that's a really strong driving force. So having a really strong why, like that really big, like, okay, here's why I want to make this. Like, okay, I'm so excited about this. I'm going to push through. It's partially that. It's partially you might need to be a weekend warrior about it, which I know is like I'm not talking hustle culture here, but like, to make it happen, you do need to take some time. The goal of the course is to get you as close to that 5 hours per week mark so that you're not taking on like a second full-time job just to make your YouTube dreams come true. You don't have to do that, but it might take, especially some pre-planning like I was talking about, at the beginning to really get yourself situated so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you sit down. You have your 12 video ideas planned out and you can use ChatGPT to create an outline for it and to kind of hold your hand through the initial steps to kind of get the ball rolling for you. So it is a bit of a slog to have a full-time job and a YouTube channel, but there are ways you can kind of cut down on how long that takes week to week. You can do it. You can do it. I did it. And I was burnt out as hell at that job. So I hope this has been invigorating for you. I hope you're feeling excited to start your channel. Honestly, the biggest step is just starting. And I will hold your hand through it in this course and in the club. So if you're interested, definitely sign up for the giveaway down below. Check out more information about the Catalyst Club and the Catalyst Academy. And I hope to see you in there. And I'll be back tomorrow at noon again on this channel to share more information, tips and tricks. I'll be here at noon for the rest of the week to kind of celebrate this pre-launch sale that I'm doing. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Have a good day. Bye.